UpStream.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dennis from UpStream, and I have a problem with the fact that millions of South Africans are negatively affected by the repercussions of bounced debit orders every year. What are the repercussions of bounced debit orders, you might ask? Well, for consumers, it can go up to a 210 Rand penalty fee and a negative impact on their credit rating. It also has a negative impact for institutions. So institutions are also subject to a penalty fee. They experience uncertainty in cash flows because people are not paying their debit orders. And they can experience customer churn because people have poor user experience. So all of these negative impacts or negatively impact people in a way that they exasperate poor cash flows of people that already have poor cash flows, and they do not facilitate financial inclusion. So we want to solve that problem. So what is the extent of that problem? Well, there are over 58 million debit orders that bounce in South Africa every year, so that's about 5 million debit orders a month. And if we take a 60 Rand average fee on those debit orders on the 4 big banks in South Africa, that leads to a 3.5 billion Rand potential annual market in the country, which is equivalent to about $215 million. Excuse me. So how do we solve that 3.5 million Rand problem? Well, the solution lies in intelligent debit order financing. So let me demystify that by means of an example. So imagine you have 4 debit orders that go off every month. So that can be medical aid, internet, cell phone, and insurance. In order for you to know whether you'll be able to pay those off, you need to keep track of 4 things. That is what those debit orders are, which we've already established, the value of those debit orders, as well as the dates that they go off, and your rolling account balance. So that's a lot of metrics to keep in check to ensure that you remain in the green by the end of the month. We do all of that by the use of machine learning. So with the use of machine learning, we can identify and track all of those parameters with the help of open banking. And we can identify debit orders that have a high propensity to bounce. And if we identify one of those debit orders, we finance that for the consumer. So that gives them peace of mind, and they pay us back when they have cash flow at the end of the month. So it kind of just offsets that fee. And it saves them from those negative charges that they experience. So how will we make money from this solution? So if we take a bounced debit order value, an estimated value of 11.6 billion Rand annually based on those 58 million bounced debit orders per year, and we take a 10% service fee on that value, it leads us to a potential revenue of 1.16 billion Rand, so $72 million. What is our route to market? So we're currently in talks with 2 large institutions in the country, and the idea is that they'll take our prototype, our MVP that will be developed mid-June, and they'll roll that out to their consumer base, and hopefully we'll get adoption via that consumer base. But because of the nature of the problem and the scalability of the solution, we're hoping that we can expand globally. So is this being done already? Well, there's a company in the US called Davecom. They have 10 million users in the USA, and they have a $1 billion valuation. But they only focus on saving consumers overdraft fees, whereas we focus on debit orders. And we can integrate with any bank. So why now, you may ask? How has the solution become available? It's through the introduction of open banking, which has only been done recently. And we've been quite close to the industry, which allowed us to pick out this opportunity. We also have data scientists that are extremely experienced in credit lending, building ML solutions that advance over $20 million in credit on a monthly basis. And we've developed solutions in open banking for balance prediction, transaction categorization, and debit order prediction that all operate with 99% accuracy. So needless to say, we're quite experienced in this field. So what are the risks? Obviously, there are risks. So we can have low user adoption, but we're mitigating that by hopefully going via B2B2C approach initially. We can have a risk of default, so people not paying the advances back because they're essentially very short-term advances. But as I mentioned, we have a large amount of experience in credit risk modeling with the use of machine learning. And we can have missed debit orders, but as I alluded to earlier, we've already developed solutions, and we know that they work up to about they work at 99% accuracy, not up to. So what are we asking for? We're asking for 8 million Rand for customer acquisition, MVP development and maintenance, in order to allow those models to run, for 10% equity in the business, as well as 20 million Rand in debt finance so that we can advance that to our customers, made available on the achievement of predefined milestones. But we're open to discussing these numbers if investors present a strategic benefit to the rolling out of the business. Thank you very much.
10 seconds to go. Thank you, UpStream. Judges, last and final questions for the day.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi.
Pleasure to meet, and thank you for the presentation. I have 2 questions, but I'm going to ask one and allow the judges to engage with you. Maybe this time we'll do the follow-up one. Can you run me through the service orchestration of your platform? Is it an API that would have to be plugged into somebody else's platform, or how does that work?
So it'll work by means of an API. So we'll have the models running. We're going to be pulling the banking data through a partner. So that'll pull the banking data in the consumer's banking data. And our models will also run via an API. So we'll send that data through, we'll send all those features through to that API and receive a response on our side. So that'll be in the cloud, and that will then be used to make that decision on whether to give that advance or not, if that answers your question.
Dennis, sorry, I may have missed this. The team, can you just talk us through the team in a bit more detail?
Of course. So we have 2 high-level directors, one that's bought and sold JSE-listed companies, another director that is, he started airtime microlending in South Africa, but we also have a team of data scientists, as I mentioned. So we have 3 data scientists, one that's worked in rolling out a large amount of credit solutions in a variety of countries, another data scientist that's worked on this specific open banking solution, and myself that's also involved in the credit lending side of the business.
Do you have any traction currently? And the second question is, what is your perfect B2B customer?
So traction would be nothing aside from the talks that we're having with the 2 institutions. Now, a perfect B2B customer would essentially be, if we could roll it out to banks, that would be ideal, if they could use our solution to facilitate that financial inclusion. Thank you.
He was definitely looking at the clock. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and a huge round of applause to all